What's up? Good rising. What's up, y'all? Good rising. Happy Monday. Oh, so, sorry, y'all. I'm like, why is it echoing? It's because I had it open in too many tabs. What's up, y'all? Good rising. Happy Monday. I hope you are excited for today's show. Of course, I always am. Welcome to, what is it called again? Mondays with Muffet. I'm tired, y'all. Let's just keep it 100. I'm tired. I'm on family vacation and we did not go to bed last night until like 3 a.m. And I still got up for y'all. So that means I love y'all. So just don't forget, don't say I never gave you nothing because I have. Okay, I'm giving you my time and my exhaustion. But how was your weekend? What did y'all do this weekend? Would love to know. Tell me in the comments. Welcome to Mondays with Muffy. I'm so excited to start off my week this way, to be talking and sharing with y'all. We're going to talk a little bit about my family vacation and something really interesting that I did this weekend. We are also going to talk about, let me see, let me check the show notes. We're going to talk about Black Maternal Health Week. We are in the middle of Black Maternal Health Week. There are 2 more days left. We are going to talk with DJ Nate the Barber, who is going to be coming on, giving us some advice from a dad, telling us about his latest project. We're going to be talking about family vacations, and we're also going to be talking about, I didn't get a chance to watch The Real Housewives of Potomac last night because I'm on family vacation. But if y'all could tell me a little bit about it, we could definitely key. And don't forget that if you want to join me in the conversation, you are more than welcomed to come to the link. I'm going to put it up and join me to talk, because I would love to talk to you. I'm going to try to put it in the comments of the thing, but y'all know I suck at that. Here, I'm going to change it real quick. Let me see. I got to invite a guest, copy it, put it in here. I'm going to put this link up here. If you have a business or something that you want to share, and you want to come on live and talk with me about it, use that link right there and come through. If you want to tell me about the Real Housewives of Potomac, and then we could key about it for a minute, I'm here for it. And then lastly, of course, I'm going to leave y'all on an inspirational note. So yeah, that's that. That's what we're going to do today. So this weekend, I'm on family vacation with my kids, and I'm down here with my sister and my brother. And they was like yesterday, y'all want to go to the gun range. And we just bought a gun. So we were like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. Can I tell you I was not ready? I was not ready for the loud sounds. I was not ready for the bang bang. I was not ready for it. I went in there. So we got our little headphones on. We got our glasses on. And I'm like, okay, she's going to look cute and fabulous out here doing the pop, pop, bang, bang. Then I got up in there and it was a whole other story. First of all, there was army men in there and they just pop, pop, pop. People in there with big guns, pistols and AK-47s. It's loud as heck. You walk in, you could hear all the smoke. I mean, you could smell all the smoke from the guns. And so that was the first thing that caught me off guard, was like all the noises, because I was not ready for the noises. But I was even more not ready to shoot the gun. Because when my sister got the gun and she was like, okay, I'm going to show you how to do it. And I'm thinking like, movies, like bang, 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 pow, pow, pow. That was not what it was. That was not what it was at all. So I'm watching her and I'm watching her shoot the gun. And my sister is bigger than me. So she's like shooting the gun. It's like taking her back. I'm like, oh, this is really powerful. Like this gun is really, really powerful. And then you could see like the shells popping out the gun. And so when she put the gun down, she's like, okay, because they had rules and regulations, right? So you weren't allowed to pass the gun to each other. You had to put the gun down and then somebody else would pick it up. And so I went and picked up the shoot, bang, bang. And then I grabbed it and girl, Jesus. First of all, I was not ready for the recoil. Like it takes you back. Like you are literally taken aback by it. So I go to do the first one and I'm like, and I put the gun, I damn near threw the gun down because I was like, oh no, I was not ready for that. So, oh wait, I think I might be losing you. views because I'm using the word. I don't think you're supposed to use that word on social media. So I'm going to just refer to it as the pium pium because that's what the kids say. They say the pium pium. So so I threw the pium pium down and I was just like not ready. I start sweating. My whole body was like, no. And this is how you know it's like that having a pium pium, even though it might be a necessary thing, God did not intend for us to be pium pium because it just felt so like not organic. It felt like you were going to do damage to someone, even though there was no one. Like it's just you and all the army men. Because listen, some people in this country is prepared, okay? They is prepared. And it made me very aware that some people are very prepared. And some of us, like myself, are not very prepared. So it was a very interesting experience. I will absolutely do it again because being around all the people that was prepared let me know that my family, myself needs to be prepared because there's some people out there that just listen. They got it all. I was very I was very not a little bit scared. Like I was a little bit scared because I was just like, this is a lot. And I was not ready for it, but I'm going to get ready. I'm going to get prepared myself. I'm going to make sure that I take Pyum Pyum training classes, continue to, and get comfortable because listen, that experience was, I got some video. So I'm going to show y'all my video. Hopefully this doesn't cause me to rank lower on the socials. Listen, Facebook, YouTube, wherever this is, everywhere. This is not a bad video. This is just, I'm just trying to share my experience. Oh, I probably shouldn't share it. I'm not going to share the video, y'all, because they might actually cut my video if I share the video. But the video is of me at the Pyum Pyum place, practicing the Pyum Pyum. So I will say this, I will absolutely be taking more classes. I will absolutely be getting prepared. But if you have not yet learned how to use a Pyum Pyum and you are going for the first time, you should absolutely go. But just be ready for the sweat. Be ready for the loud noise. Be ready for all of it's just a real experience. Like I did not expect to be that taken off guard my first time at the Pyum Pyum range. I just did not expect it. It was not what I was thinking. Has anybody else or like any of y'all trained Pyum Pyum experts out here? Because let me tell you, there was some people in there with, like, there was one guy in there, I mean, he was like just busting them off, just one that like 12 at a time, the guy that was next to us. And then there was another guy in there, man, I seen him take that case out. That case was, you see this mirror behind me? The case was damn near long as this mirror. And I was like, what the hell he got up in there? He had a damn rocket. So I said, listen, Black folks, we need to get prepared because there is prepared people out here. And if you are like me and you are amongst the unprepared, I do not want to be caught somewhere with the man with the rocket. And I don't even know how to use the Pyum Pyum. So yeah, that was yesterday. We are in Universal Studios today. This is my kids' first time coming to Universal Studios, so I'm really excited for them to have this experience. When I was a kid, I actually went to Disney when I was a kid. I don't remember most of the trip. Like I remember riding the merry-go-round because remember, this was back in the 1980s. I was probably like 6. I remember riding the merry-go-round. I remember holding my grandmother's hand. And I remember my grandfather being there, but I don't remember most of it. And so, I guess I never really romanticized like the whole Disneyland experience. I really kind of did this on a humbug with my kids. I was like, oh, we're going to be down here anyway. And we were coming to visit family. And y'all know most kids are in school right now. And so I was like, well, there's not going to be no kids available. So we might as well just take them on down to Orlando and take them to Universal Studios. But I've never really romanticized like the Disney experience. But I see people all the time and they're like wanting to get their kids to Disney. Like that's a goal of theirs. It's a dream of theirs, something that they absolutely want to do. And I'm of the other type. I'm just kind of like, I'm not a rider. So for instance, if some of y'all are on here from Pittsburgh, I'm a turtle rider. That's the extent of my riding. I will ride the turtles. I will ride the musical express. All of these loop de loops and all the way up and all the way down. She's not doing that. She likes life. She refuses to be stuck up somewhere where she can't get down from. So I never really was into like the amusement park, like life of it. I was like, that's just, I'm not interested. And my youngest doesn't ride. So I just was never like, that was just never my thing. But I know that families will like literally spend all their money trying to get their kids to Disney. How do y'all feel about that? Do y'all like romanticize the whole Disney experience? Is that like your dream for your children or for your people? Mikkel, there's a mirror right here. Well, y'all done seen it all. You've experienced all of my life. You've experienced it all. Now you know me. Now you know everything about me. Now everything there is to know. These are the shenanigans that happen when you go live. These are the things that you experience on a live video. You get to see it all. See, one thing about me you get to know is I'm not in the hiding business. This is my life. Love it, leave it, or don't. It's up to you. It's really up to you. But we're all here. We're here. We're here for the acceptable experiences. Hopefully that will not harm anyone. So somebody said something about Disney. Disney has downtown attractions, no riding needed. My son doesn't ride, but there are food places and good music. Like that's what I'm banking on today. I'm banking on the fact because we're at Universal Studios. We're actually not at Disney. Because like I said, me and Disney was never like chummy. So I was like, the Universal Studios seems a little bit more appropriate. Plus, y'all know my kids are older. So my youngest is 14. My oldest is 22. So I was like, Disney, I kind of don't want to do. Let's try to do something a little bit more mature. So not a dreamer of Disney, but my 3 want to go. How old are your 3? That's what I would ask. Because my kids was not like, we want to go to Disney. They didn't really care about all of that. So we're at Universal Studios. What I'm looking forward to today is going to the water park. I'm hoping that we'll have some time to slip over into the like actual studio part of it. I seen something that was based on The Mummy, which is one of my favorite movies. So I really want to go see that attraction. Yeah. She said 12, 10, and 9. Okay, well, maybe they're still Disney age though. But I don't know what the hell's over there. Like I never really, it just wasn't my jam. But nonetheless, if Disney sees this video and wants to send my family on an all expense paid trip to Disney, I will be happy to take it. I'm just saying, it just wasn't my thing before. So yeah, that is, what I'm doing this week. Those were my weekend plans. And today we are going to be talking to DJ Nate, the Fat Barber, because did y'all know that today is Take Your Dad to School Day? I didn't have my dad when I was a young kid, but I did have my stepdad. Well, quote, quote, because we didn't really do stepdad, you know how people will do stepdad or, bonus dad. That was just my dad growing up because he had been around since I was a little kid. I'm talking like 4 or 5 years old. So I just knew that was my dad. But how did you feel if you were a parent or a kid that didn't necessarily have your biological father on, bring your dad to school day? Because even though my kids do have a dad now, that's something I always think about is like how those kids feel. And I know how I felt sometimes not being able to have a dad to take to, Take Your Dad to School Day. But today is Take Your Dad to School Day. Somebody said, my husband and I went through there during our honeymoon, referencing Disney. We stayed in Daytona Beach and went there for a day. We said we'd take our kids and still haven't yet. I heard it's best to take them when they are of a certain age to enjoy it. Yeah, I don't know. I never look. Y'all look. Okay, got you, sis. I hear you. Okay, so look, girlfriends is already texting me. Okay, cool. So y'all funny. Jesus. Okay. Somebody said my father wasn't around. My father wasn't around. Her uncle came through. Representation matters. It absolutely matters. I feel like it matters. I feel like we should make sure that every kid has a dad to take to school. Even if it's not their biological father, whether it's an uncle, a friend of the family, a brother, somebody needs to show up for the kids because it does feel some type of way. I remember not having a dad on some take your dad to school days, and it feels some type of way. And even if your mom shows up for you, it's like it's not the same. Like you be like, well, everybody else got a dude, and I got my mama. Which we love our mamas. We absolutely love our mamas because y'all know I'm a brown mama and I love the brown mamas. But somebody said we didn't have that at our school. I must be old. I was raised by my grandparents. Okay, well that's good because you still had your grandfather. So yeah, that started. I want to say we didn't have that when I was in elementary school, but I do remember by the time I was in middle school, they had started Take Your Dad to School Day. But it's Take Your Dad to School Day today in Pittsburgh, and so I was like, wanted to talk about that and just mention it and see how y'all felt about it. But something else I wanted to talk about was Black Maternal Health Week. So if y'all don't know this, Thursday, I think it was April 11th. Thursday started Black Maternal Health Week, and there's been so many things happening. In addition to all of this money pretty much being dumped into the Black maternal health space by politicians, federal and local state politicians, there has been some really interesting conversations being had in media. Oh, so just in case you want to look it up, there is I don't know, I'm not quite sure what it is. I ain't going to sit here and act like I know all these legal terms, but there was some type of act that was passed. It's called the Momnibus that basically provided the information that was necessary in order for politicians to open up funding for Black maternal health. Because if you don't know, we are in the middle of a Black maternal health crisis. Black mothers are dying at a rate that's 3 times higher than other mothers in this country when they're giving birth. And so it is Black Maternal Health Week. And so I wanted to play a snippet of a conversation because I keep looking at this video on Recipe for Change and asking myself, somebody said, I'm passionate about Black maternal health. I'm currently doing research on it due to issues that still affect Black women. Absolutely. This is not, when you think about Black maternal health, don't think about it as like an old issue. It is a current issue. It is a palpable issue. It is currently affecting Black mothers. And so I want to play a video for y'all because I kept watching this video over and over again the last probably week or so and just saying to myself, why does this video not have more views? And I think it is indicative of the fact that oftentimes when Black women, well, us in particular, when we experience maternal health trauma, I feel like a lot of times we individualize it and we internalize it and we don't realize it's part of a systemic issue. I know with my first son, I was actually had the privilege of being seen by Dr. Turner. He was my first son's birthing doctor. And I just had a great maternal health. I mean, I just had a great maternity experience. Like my oldest son was born at McGee. I remember I was so scared because I was 19 and I'm little already. Most people think I'm tall. I'm not. I'm a little person. And my frame is small. And so my son was 9 pounds. And yes, he was such a great doctor. My son was 9 pounds and 12 ounces, my oldest son. And he's tall. He's 6'2" now, damn near 6'3". And so he was long in the birth canal as well. And I remember I could not push him out because the bill will give people things for moms and babies to go home with, like blood pressure monitors and welcome bags. Thank you for telling us that, Tamara. And so when I went to go give birth to him, of course, there was no way I was pushing him out. I was an inexperienced mom, first of all, because I was a first-time mom. And then he could not, every time he would come down into the birth canal, he would just come back out. And so Dr. Turner was like, listen, we're going to have to do a C-section. And I was so scared because I knew what that meant. I knew that meant, number one, I was going to have to get cut. And number two, I was going to have to get that damn epidural. And I am definitely afraid of needles. But when I tell you, I did not even feel the epidural. Like literally, he set me up on the bed. He didn't show me the needle, so I never seen it. He was behind me, and he just kept patting me on my back, rubbing my back. He was like, "You're going to be okay," because I'm crying. I'm like, oh, what is this? I wanted to go home at that point, and I never even felt it. Next thing I know, I started to go numb. He laid me back. He was like, "You're okay. You're fine." And couple hours later, I had a baby. That's what happened. That's how it happened. But my other two births with my two younger sons, they were horrible. Like literally from start to finish. I remember the doctor putting my epidural in, and it's hurting me because he stabbed me in the back with a needle. And so he had to try it like 7 times. And he's putting the needle in my back, and I keep moving. And he's like, do you want to be paralyzed? Do you want to die? And I'm like, no, it's hurting. And he just keeps jabbing me in my damn back with it. And so, but at the time, I had no idea that this was something systemic that was happening to Black women. So of course, I just internalized it. I was just like, this is my experience, and maybe I did something wrong. I remember my second birth, there was a lady, a Jewish woman that was next to me, and she was in so much pain. And I think because of her belief system, she wasn't allowed to get pain medication. But when I say her experience traumatized me because of how much pain she was in, and every night we were in the hospital for, I think, 2.5 days, because and at this time, this is my 3rd C-section. So, you know, when you have a C-section, you're supposed to be in the hospital for like a week. I told my husband to come pick me up. I was like, I have to get out of here, because every night, every day, all day, she's just over there crying and crying and crying. And I'm feeling bad for her, but I'm also like, I just had a baby. Somebody come help this woman. And so it was just, those two experiences definitely were the precursor to me wanting brown mamas, because I started to see like Black women are just not appreciated. Our cries for help are not heard. People absolutely feel like we don't feel pain. And it was just a really, you know, those experiences definitely set me up to see the value of the women specifically. And I count myself as a person who works in the Black maternal health space, but it really gives me pride. And, you know, I really have a lot of reference for the women who are doing the work on a political level, because that's hard work, trying to get people to actually believe that Black women deserve to be treated better in this country. And I know that type of work takes a very long time. So I'm going to play a quick clip for y'all. Hopefully I can, from this. It's called Recipe for Change. So Recipe for Change is a videography movement that basically is bringing voice to a lot of the issues that Black women experience, or Black people period experience, because they did one for Black men. Mary J. Blige hosted one talking about a myriad of issues that Black women face. Who else? Tabitha Brown hosted one, but these have been going on for a long time. And when I looked at the one on Black maternal health, it only had 83,000 views, as compared to some of the other ones that have like 500,000 views or more. And so I'm gonna play a short clip from it, and then please, you know, go ahead and check it out on YouTube. So I'm gonna play a short clip from it right now. Give me a second to pull it up. Share my screen. I'm going to share this. All right, hopefully y'all can see it, and I'm going to play a clip.
Away, so none of my family was close. So I actually found a doula for my first birth, and she was a huge advocate in that process, even through the hospital situation, everything. She was super helpful. I remember she called my son his name for the first time before he was even born. She said, okay, Cameron. And I was like, oh. So she saw me as this person already, this mother already, and she treated me as such, and she spoke to me as such. And I will say this, and I want to give Kim her flowers, because my second time around when I got pregnant, I called Kim. And I said, Kim, I want to have a different experience. And she's like, well, girl, I can't take you because my schedule's full. But she said, but here's who you can call. And Kim walked me through my entire process, because I had a C-section and I wanted a VBAC. I wanted a vaginal birth after cesarean. And so the practice that I was in, they mandated that they could not provide a VBAC for me.
Interesting.
Right. And it wasn't the doctor's choice. It was just the practice that they were in. And so I called Kim and I was like, Kim, I don't know what to do. And she was like, here's where you start. That's right. And so I would like to say that I was my biggest advocate in my second journey to motherhood, because I did not stop until I found who I needed.
My biggest advocate, I think, with my
first pregnancy was my husband. You know, because he was the one who I trusted. He was the one who I was like, I know you'll have my best interest at heart. If anything goes wrong, awry, if anything, I knew to do a birthing plan, but that's all I knew. And I was like, you have to look at the birthing plan. Just look at the birthing plan. And that was just like our biggest conversation. But there was many a times where he had to speak up in the room because he was like, this doesn't look right. This isn't normal. Oh, no, she shouldn't be doing that. Like he just intuition, just him saying, I know her, I know Lizzie, and she's not normal right now. But I think he was my biggest advocate for the first. And then the second, we knew, okay, a team needs to be assessed. Doula, midwife has to be in place because they go through so many births that they'll know the signs before we will if something's awry.
All right, so I wanted to share that video because I think it's really important that as Black women, as Black fathers, just as Black folks in general, that we recognize that when you have your birth, whether it's your first birth, your second birth, your third, your 15th birth, you should have people around you that are supporting you, that are making sure your voice gets heard, that are making sure that you're comfortable, that make sure you have all of the tools and resources necessary in order to have a healthy birth. You cannot, I've learned, and I don't have any more children to give birth to anymore. I'm done having children. But I'm hoping that there are moms on here who, you know, if you are pregnant, you will, you know, consider that it shouldn't just be you and your partner in the birthing room. And if it is just you and your partner, you need to have made some informed decisions about how your partner is going to support you through the birthing process. Because one of the you know, what happened to me was that neither myself nor my husband were educated about the supports that were necessary for, you know, birthing people to give birth in a healthy situation. Like, we went into the hospital and we just assumed that we could trust the doctors. We just assumed that they had our best interests at heart. And one of the reasons why I wanted to play that snippet is because those women were talking about having the proper supports in place, having a doula, having a midwife, recognizing that you have a choice. You can birth in the hospital, you can birth at home, you can birth at a birthing center. But the most important thing is that you have knowledgeable people around you that can actually make sure that you have a happy and healthy birth. And I'm going to put some of the comments up here. One of it is, somebody said, when I had my now 25-year-old McGee, it was a horrible experience. I had my later three at Mercy, and the experiences were much better. We are treated as if we can endure pain. Indian situations. Not sure what that. Okay, I'm pretty sure you're saying that you're Indian, but yes, I agree. It absolutely, that's how I felt. I absolutely felt like I should just be able to endure the pain. I what in these situations? Okay, that's what my husband said. All right, got you. So, yep, I agree. Let me see. Somebody else said, my midwife and doula were crucial. I was able to birth at home. And I, you know, one of the things about the hospital systems is they're not going to be an advocate of you birthing at home if that's something that you want. So if that's something that you want, you have to empower yourself. I know people like Shannon, thank you for saying that. I know other people who have birthed at home successfully, but it's because they knew, they had the knowledge, they had a midwife, they had a doula, they had people who could support them in that process. So if you are going to birth at home, if that is a choice that you have, just make sure you have the proper people around you. And also, it may take some advocating, because very similar to you know, I'm sure some of the situations that they talked about on that video is that some cities, like the city of Pittsburgh, does not have a ton of Black midwives. So we have to start advocating that doulas are able to actually go to school and finish the midwifery degree, because from what I understand, it's not an easy process. And a lot of times, you know, doulas and midwives are traumatized doing the work that they do, because they have to be the person who bears the brunt of what would be coming to the mother. And so trying to sustain the career while also building the career, I'm sure, is very difficult. Fawn says, I experienced similar issues in my battle with endometriosis. They definitely ignore our pain. Absolutely. So it's just about making sure that you have the proper people around you that can advocate for you when you're down, because you can't go into your birthing situation, you know, like I did, with rose-colored glasses on, thinking that, you know, everyone is going to be there for you. It's going to be, you know, you're going to go into the hospital and just come out with this beautiful baby. Unfortunately, that's not the circumstance that most Black women are, experiencing. Well, let's not say most, because most Black women, it seems, are probably having a good experience, or at least they're having an experience they lived through. That is in the minority, but just recognizing that you have more of a likelihood of having a emotionally, physically, spiritually challenging experience than white women have. And so just want to make sure that we know that Black Maternal Health Week is a time when you can go to experiences. Representative Latasha Mays just had her community baby shower. There are a ton of events happening this week so that you can get educated, and you can go to Healthy Starts website. There are a ton of doulas like the Birthing Hut, an Elephant Song doula practice in Pittsburgh. And you can also just go to the National Association of Doulas and go on their website. And the Black Mamas Matter Alliance is another one that you can go to. They have virtual events that you can go and educate yourself about the Black birthing experience and what folks are experiencing in order to make better decisions during the birthing process for yourself. So, yeah, get educated. Know what other Black women are experiencing, so that when you are in the midst of it, you can be able to go and advocate for yourself and say, hey, I heard this before. I've heard these words before. I've heard about this situation before, and this isn't right. So that even if you are giving birth tomorrow and you're going to be there by yourself, go educate yourself tonight so that you can know, these are the red flags I need to look for. This is how I'm going to be aware that maybe I'm in a situation that is not safe, so that, I don't know, girl, you're going to have to get on the call, page somebody. You're going to have to do something, because we just need to be aware. Somebody else said, I had an epidural with my first son. I was 18, young at McGee. They messed me up the first time, ended with a class 4 tear. Oh, girl, Jesus, you just made me hurt. Not a class 4. Okay. Stitches inside and out, front to back, and the epidural didn't work, so they injected me with something else. Do you even know what something else was, sis? My last 3 were natural births. I had a doula named Robin for all 3, but she really helped me with my third son's birth at West Penn. It was beautiful because of her, because of the doula experience. Thank you for sharing that. And that's something that I absolutely wish that I just wish that I could go back in time with my 2 younger babies. Because definitely, and this was the interesting thing, was when I had my oldest son, for the most part, I met all of the statistics. I was, young, I was poor, I did not have my child's father was not sticking around. So I met all the statistics, but I had a good birth. With my other 2 sons, I was not a statistic. I was married. I was middle class. I checked all the boxes for a Black girl who made it, and still was having a horrible birthing experience. And that's the thing to remember about being in the Black maternal health space, is it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic background is. And that was something I actually learned during a workshop with Healthy Start, was that it didn't matter. Like, their work does not focus on just, doesn't just focus on poor Black single moms, because when it comes to the Black maternal health issue, it's across socioeconomic backgrounds. So if you are a Black woman, no matter if you are married, no matter if you have, if you got 10 kids or if you got 2, no matter if you live in the projects or if you live in a gated community, you are still more likely to experience hardship, challenges, people telling you you're not in pain when you are in pain, not being listened to about your own body, having procedures performed on you that you did not agree to. So that doesn't matter. And then Camille says, I'm on pregnancy number 3 and I'm 35. And for the first time, I'm looking into doula and midwife services in addition to my traditional medical team. It feels like so many people involved, and I want my husband. Absolutely. She says she wants her husband to be empowered. And so, yeah, I agree. I think that we need to have more doula focus on the father. I know Ayana over at the Birthing Hut, like, that's one of her focuses, is making sure that the dad, and I remember we were at an event one time and there was a dad there that she had doulaed for. And he had talked about like how empowering it was to have her there to support him. And so I do definitely think we need more doulas that are just focused on dads, because the dad, if there is if something happens with the doula and the doula is not available that day, or even if maybe mom and dad cannot afford to keep the doula on full time, if you can just get that person to explain some things to the father so that he understands, and that way he's able to advocate for mom in that situation, that could really literally be the difference between life and death. Like a dad in that moment, we always talk about, your mom will take you out. Your dad has the ability to keep the baby in, or keep the baby in this life, if he has the proper information to be able to advocate for mom. Someone else said, I do believe you can attain a doula at McGee, and it's either free or covered by insurance, from what my daughter's sister shared a few weeks ago. Yes, most hospitals have doula programs, so you can absolutely look. And doulas actually just won a case. Some type of law was enacted that basically says health insurance companies in Pennsylvania can now reimburse doulas for their services. And so that means that not only can you get a hospital doula, but you can also get a community doula. And the one thing I appreciate about the community doulas is these are women who are in your midst. Like, they work with you, they live with you, they probably on Facebook with you, they probably know you. And now these women are able to provide doula care. And that's not to say that the doulas at the hospitals don't have the same thing, because oftentimes doulas work for the hospital and then they also work for themselves. But just, I think it is important that we have doulas, midwives, really any medical professionals, period, that reflect us, that understand our experiences, that understand what we go through on a day-to-day basis, and can actually help us to make informed decisions that are culturally competent decisions, and not so far out of the sphere of what we've normally, or not normally, or what we should be experiencing as Black women, birthing children, that is not so far out of that sphere that it takes us out of our area of comfort. Because I feel like when you are, having a baby, you should be comfortable. Now, we know the process in and of itself is not the most comfortable, but, or should I say the pain? Okay, we're waiting for you. So, it's not going to be painless, but at least you can have a situation where, you feel empowered to be able to give birth the best way you can. So we're supposed to be interviewing DJ Nate, but he's running a little bit late. So what else y'all want to kiki about? I really wanted to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac today, but I did not get to watch the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. But I'm going to just put this out there. Giselle must be stopped. This cannot continue. Actually, the last Sunday watching it, I watched the whole thing, but I was extremely triggered. Like, I literally went to bed upset, because I'm just like, this cannot continue. And it's very obvious that colorism is playing such a huge role in this show. And well, I don't want to say I'm disappointed, because to be honest, I can't be disappointed about anything that Bravo does, because I think Bravo has proven over and over and over again that it is not for Black people. I mean, we already know that these shows are not a good representation of what it means to be a Black woman. We know that these shows are not a good representation of Black relationships, but we are watching it for a level of just, I told y'all, I watch reality TV because it's a good palate cleanser. Like, if I'm having a horrible day, it's a way for me to just cleanse my palate and just set my baseline back to stupid. And then I can build from there. Now I have nothing to build upon. I mean, I have nothing left, so I can just build upon it, build upon it. And so it's a good way for me to just like relax. But now I understand what some people are saying when they're saying like those shows are starting to be triggering for Black women. And it was triggering for me. And so I'm kind of glad that I'm on family vacation and was not able to watch that on Sunday, because it was very triggering. All right, y'all. So DJ Nate is here. We have our guest in the building. So I'm going to bring him. Let me bring him up. What's up, DJ Nate?
What's up? What's up? What's up? How are you?
How are you? I'm doing good.
I'm good. I'm good, man. I apologize for the mix up. I had to download Chrome on my MacBook. I didn't realize the only way you can do it is Google Chrome. So it kind
Yeah.
of threw me off. But we're good. We're
I'm
good.
sorry. I always assume everybody has Google Chrome, but it is nosy as heck, so everybody don't have it.
Nah, I just got this MacBook maybe about 6 months ago,
Oh.
and it's like a new MacBook, and it's pushing Safari like crazy on me. So
Hmm.
I didn't even think to download Chrome. I haven't had to until just now.
But Safari is actually like the more superior platform. Just
Yeah.
in terms of like privacy and actually keeping track of stuff. I feel like when you get on Google Chrome, you're kind of in the wild, wild west.
True.
You are like, you know, who's taking your information, you know,
Hmm.
because Google wants it all. They're not
Yes, they
satisfied
do.
with anything. So
Hmm.
I love your ambiance in the background. Like I feel zen just looking at it.
It ain't nothing but a photo and and a coffee mug. That's it.
Listen, it looks
What I
like
make my tea and coffee with.
it looked like you just got done meditating. So I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for
So
having me.
you didn't send me a bio, did you? Send me a
I
bio?
did. I
Oh,
sent
you
you a
did?
bio.
Okay, I'm not going to read it anyway, so it doesn't matter.
I updated it and everything for you.
Okay, well, I'm not going to read it because I hate formalities. Like my assistant be like, ask for the bio, get their bio, but I'm like, I feel like I'm a person who. Well, let me ask you this question because I'll read it if you want me to. Do you feel empowered by your bio? Like, does it make you feel like? Do you want? Yeah, me too. I'm not with it. Like, I don't
Not
care.
really. You know what? So maybe about 6 years ago, a friend of mine convinced me to do not only like a bio, but he wanted me to put a resume together. And I was like, dude, I'm not looking for a job. And he was like, no, it's just so you can see yourself on paper. So I did. And I was looking at myself on paper and I'm like, man, I look good. I would hire me, just if I was out here looking. But like outside of that, like I haven't tried to present this bio to the world unless I'm asked at
Right.
this point, you know.
And I feel like you transcend the bio. Like you've done so many things and held so many positions in life and gone through so many things that I feel like even reading a bio is not, it can't really encapsulate who you are,
No.
especially to the Pittsburgh region, but to the world, quite honestly. So, I was like, am I going to read this bio? I kind of feel like reading bios is corny. Um, I know I cringe when I go on something and people are like, let me read your bio. And I'm like, oh, do I got to hear this again?
I don't cringe. I don't cringe at all. It's just that you know, I'm I'm constantly evolving. So like that bio is different every single day at this point.
Right, right.
Life keeps going. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Her bio is that story of finality, and I'm not finished. Ain't none of us done until we out of here. So,
Listen,
mhm.
listen, and hopefully long, prosperous, and lots to do. You
Yeah,
know. So
indeed.
I wanted to ask you about your upcoming project that you're working on, the Grown Folks documentary. What's that all about? And
Well, actually, I'm not working on it. I was just assisting with the moderating of the event that they
okay.
did where they presented it at the Warhol Museum, and it actually just happened on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And it went really well. Grown Folks is a group. Both artists are out of Pittsburgh. The lead MC, he's from, well, he now lives in Phoenix, Arizona, but they're both from Pittsburgh. And the impetus of the group and them putting it together was just like we're established, we're almost 50 years old, but we still love hip hop and we want to keep going, right? And a lot of times, in the industry, especially in hip hop and R&B, artists reach a certain level and they just like disappear. But
Mm,
that's not like, you know, by accident. Everything is on, for a reason. So like a lot of times artists get in the industry and they get super smart and they realize they can't get jerked. And that's when they get them out of here again.
mm,
They bring in the next person who can get jerked easily so the music industry can keep making money. Well, Masai and Akil came in just on some, we can't get jerked. We'll have this type of deal. They got like a backdoor deal through Sony. And next thing you know, they're doing all types of like really cool things. And they wanted to call themselves Grown Folks specifically to separate themselves from, anyone that is childlike in their approach, right?
Hmm.
So this is hip hop for us, and it's amazing. It's
I
amazing.
feel like you've always had like a very adult flavor to everything you do. How have you maintained that? Like you've just had a, there's just you demand respect without demanding respect.
That's good. I
And
didn't
so how
know.
do you do that? Like how do you I don't know, just how? How is it happening? Do you
You
know?
give it to get it. Period. You give it to get it. Like I give respect because and that's how I get it. And I don't give it with intentions on getting it in return. I just I just feel like, treat people as well as you want to be treated, but not with the expectation of them treating you well. And
Mm.
it just works out for me. It's been working out um, for the
What
last.
about in your artistry? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What about in your artistry? Because I feel like from an artistry perspective, I've never seen your name attached to anything that was like trivial. It's like you only do things that are at a certain standard.
Yeah, that's on brand for me. I have specifically, been really careful about how I curate myself out to the world because I want to make sure that um not even that I have a good image. I want to be sure that I'm just happy with myself. Like
Right.
I could care less what anybody else thinks. I just want to be happy with myself. So um I curate a certain brand and a certain image. I attach myself to certain things, and I don't attach myself to other things on purpose. And that's not to say that the other things aren't amazing, right? But they just don't fit where I'm at currently or where I'm trying to go.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And today we were actually talking before you came on about today is take your dad to school day.
Oh, it is.
Yes, it is. Well, in Pittsburgh public schools.
And
Yeah.
of course my daughter doesn't go to Pittsburgh public schools, but
Right.
she's home sick with a little sniffle.
Well,
You know,
well, we hope she feels better.
I think she already does, but
Oh, you. Oh, okay, got you. She
like
went. Okay, she's doing one of those. She sounds like my youngest son. He's always sick.
she might have got me right.
Yeah, he's
It
always
is
sick.
what it is.
But I wanted to ask you about some advice from a dad because I know you have two daughters.
Hmm.
And so I know you've been through, listen, I grew up with all sisters.
Yeah,
And so, listen, I sometimes look at my mom like, how did you make it? Because
yeah,
you look like you should be in the never should have made it situation.
yeah.
Because girls are rough. And I got all boys. So
Hmm.
sometimes I'm looking at my girlfriends that have daughters and I'm like,
You
I
think you got it easy with having sons?
no, I don't think I have it easy, but I think it's a different kind of hard.
Okay.
I think that here's what I'll say about raising boys. I feel like with the boys, if you do a lot right up front,
Hmm.
later on down the line, you don't have as much to worry about. But with
Right.
girls,
Yeah.
I feel like it's like because women are constantly evolving, like we change all the time. I feel like it's like riding a bike. You pedal, you pedal, you pedal, you pedal, you
Yep.
coast. Then
Yep.
you got to pedal, 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 and pedal, pedal again until they get into a certain age. Now,
Yep.
I do feel like with men, there come that midlife crisis thing is very, very real.
Hmm.
But I think for women, it's almost like we get a midlife crisis every 10 years and then we switch up. And then we switch up. And then we be like, oh, okay, this is good for now. But now it's time to change it again.
Every 10 years.
I say every 10 years.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
like the midlife,
keeps relationships and marriages strong, I guess.
it,
You
it,
know,
it must.
that evolution.
It must. We had a Mikhail sighting earlier today. He was just, listen, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. He was not looking his best. He came through here and did not realize there was a mirror back here. But well, so for you, what has been like the secret to raising girls from a dad perspective?
I mean, for me, it's um it's just taking the unconditional love approach. Basically, I thoroughly believe that, like, specifically, like when they get into their teenage years are the price of admission for wanting to be a parent.
Hmm.
period.
Say it again.
You
That was
you you wanted to do this, and you wanted to make this child, teenage years are your entry to the club. Like, yo, it's gonna be $150 to get in. You know what I mean? You looking at the price like, wait a minute, this is a little crazy, but like it's real, but like I find that, I just take a lot of what people would consider maybe, you know, sassiness or disrespect. You got to take that.
you do.
You
You
got
do.
it. You got to take it on the chin because, like, as a parent, you're looking at these kids like, how dare you disrespect me? But at the same time, you always forget that these kids didn't ask to be here.
Hmm.
They did not ask to come. You made that decision. So you gotta suck it up and deal with what comes with it. And a lot see parents, putting situations where they're arguing with their kids, or they maybe, fall out with their children because their children aren't listening. And that's just part of it. Your children are rebelling. Your children they have their own mind. They come on this earth and you delivered them, but they ain't yours.
Nope.
They're really not.
Not.
You're
They're not
just you're
yours.
just tasked with taking care of them to a certain point.
Hmm.
Even, the idea of a kid being old enough to vote and live on their own at 18, cool if you want to, but like I'll never put my kids out, right? My oldest daughter, she couldn't wait to get out. And she's doing extremely well. But her energy is super independent and she wanted to be on her own. And our relationship, she's 28 now, she's 29 now, and our relationship is really thriving because of that energy of just, you know, being unconditional and letting her do what she wants and do and live her life. Right. And because of that, our relationship is amazing. And I think my relationship with my younger daughter is just as good too, because you know, I do the best to try to let her be her,
Hmm.
um, and just love her unconditionally, no matter what she wants, no matter what she does. You always got love over here, and I tell her you cannot get in trouble ever for telling the truth. I don't care
Right.
what it is that you do. If you always tell me the truth, you'll never get in trouble,
Hmm.
and that's kind of working.
Right. But I
Mhm.
think I agree with you. I think that there has to be a level of unconditional support if you want the child to consistently come back to you as a counselor and as an advisor.
Agreed.
Because you have to recognize as a parent early on that you're not, number one, something that me and my girlfriends have been talking about is respect between adults and children. And
Hmm.
how a lot of times Black children are out in the world being disrespectful because nobody ever respected them as children.
Hmm.
There's this thing that we do in the Black community where it's like a child is supposed to stay in the child's place. And while
Hmm.
I agree with that to a degree, it's like, but what is a child's place? Have
Right.
you given parameters for what it means to be a child? And
Right.
are you allowing free flow within those parameters? And
Correct.
if the child is taking up a space that it's supposed to take up, or she or he is supposed to take up, why are you upset?
Exactly.
Children do things that children do. Like
Yep.
you have to allow them free range to be able to, they got to have a freedom of the mind so that they can make good decisions. And
You
I feel like
know,
a lot of times we don't do that.
we don't. My partner Kia, she told me something. I'm sorry. She told me something really amazing. And I've just taken it to heart. Like kids, specifically little kids, right? Little children, infants, when they're trying to figure out how to explore the world, or figure out what's what, in order to figure out how to build the world, they destroy it. They
Right.
do everything they can to destroy it. They see a pile of paper and they knock it down. Blocks, knocking them down. It's always a huge mess when like babies are around, because they're just trying to figure it out. And that continues as life goes. We destroy. You know what I mean? Your teenagers' rooms are a mess. You know what I mean? Because they're trying to figure out how to get their mind right in order to set it, a good example of what a room should look like. You know what I mean? So, it's just that energy of understanding, what it means to be in this age or be at that age. And we just don't see it a lot of times as parents. But like, you know, one thing I always say is you can't go wrong loving your kids like unconditionally. You cannot,
Right.
right? You can go wrong spoiling them. There's a difference between unconditional love and spoil them. But like for the most part, if they always have some place to fall, those kids are gonna be fine, yo.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
agree 100%. And my oldest son is 22 now, and
Wow! Whoa! He's
it's like,
22 now.
how did this even happen? How did we get here?
You could share alcoholic beverages with this kid
I
now.
can, I can. In fact,
Wow! Wow!
it's crazy, right? And that's the thing. Like the time is so fleeting
Mm-hmm.
that when you don't take the opportunity to really like just be present in it
Mm-hmm.
rather than focusing on like I gotta punish the child, I've got to
Yep.
restrict the child.
Yep.
The time is so fleeting that you miss it. You
Yep.
miss it and then it's over and it
Yep.
does not come back. And
Yep.
I think that's something that as parents we really have to internalize is that the child is just being a child.
Yeah.
But you said something that I feel like is so important and I want to go back to it. You said when you said what your partner told you about destroying everything. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's what we do as adults.
Yes.
We destroy, like we don't know what to do, so we inadvertently destroy our whole entire environment and
Mm-hmm.
then we go back and rebuild it. And I remember when I got my very first numerology reading, that was something that my numerologist told me. She said, you are a destroyer and a rebuilder. And at
Yes.
first I thought she was saying something very unique to me, and then
Mm-hmm.
I just realized, no, this is just what humans do.
Yeah.
Humans destroy and rebuild
Mm-hmm.
constantly throughout
Yep.
our entire lives. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to focus that question in on like your career. Like number one, I want to ask you about what was your first love in your career? Because you've done so many things from music to hair, but all kind of artistry driven. But what
Mm-hmm.
was your first love in the arts? And then how have you kind of morphed that into so many different things?
It was probably music. Um,
Mhm.
I would say it was music. I actually started cutting hair and DJing literally 3 months apart.
Wow.
3 months apart. All right. I started cutting hair first. Um, I got what I considered pretty decent, like really quickly. Um, but you know, if I had to go back in time, I wasn't that good. But but I was good enough to where I started picking up a clientele around school. I was in high school at the time. I was at Alderdice, and this is like in the early '90s. So we're talking over 30 years ago. And I started cutting hair, and in my health class was this guy. He asked me to come over his house to cut his hair, and I was like, "Sure, I'll come cut you," because he saw my work. So I went
Mhm.
over there, cut his hair, and I saw that he had a set of turntables, and he had been DJing for about a year, maybe a year and a half at that point. So I was like, "Yo, those look dope." I was like, "Do you mind if I play around on them?" He was like, "Yep." I cut his hair, then I got on the turntables and I started fooling around with him, and I really felt the same energy as I did when I picked up the clippers. So I was like, maybe I'm supposed to do both of these things. And I did, and that's how I started. And a person's house that I went over was a good friend of mine. He DJs locally here still, DJ Selector. So that's how I got started. I just went over his house when I was in the 10th grade to cut his hair, and
Mhm.
that was it. And that was 1990, 1991, 1991. Yeah.
And what about all the other? Because I feel like you've gone into fashion. Like, has it just been like this organic? Like,
So for the fashion, that wasn't even me. That was my late wife. That was all Jovan. Like I didn't have anything to do with that at all. Like I just kind of rode her coattails to a certain extent. Like
but
I
you
wasn't,
got style.
huh?
But you got style.
Thanks to her.
Right.
You
True.
know, like I don't think that I was nearly as stylish, and I still use that word with like, you know, a little bit of reservation, but like I don't think I was nearly as stylish as I am before her. Like
Hmm.
she definitely put a little energy in my image.
Right.
I just wasn't. I didn't know, right? I thought I was. I thought I had it until I met her, and she was just like, "Dude, get your life together," you know. So,
And
um,
she definitely had, like, her style was just ridiculous.
oh yeah, oh yeah, man. Oh yeah. Like you know, she's been gone now 5 years, and I miss her every day. But I don't. I'm looking over here at a photo. Like I don't take any photos down here. Like at my house, everything's still up. Like all the photos of me and her. Even with my partner Kia here, like we all three of us, me, Kia, and Lauren, feel like we have a fourth member in this house. So I feel like
Right,
four of us living here. You know what I mean? And like Joe's energy is what like protects not only our union as in the house, but it protects the house.
right.
This energy. We bought this house together back in 2007. So, and I've been here now, it's going on 17 years. So, you know, um, this is the only house my daughter Lauren has ever known. She's
Mhm.
only been in one school, one house, so I have to put all that on Jovan, and that fashion energy is definitely hers for
Yeah.
sure. Hmm.
It's interesting that you said everything you just said, because actually before I came on, I was like, I want to ask him about Jovan, but I don't like asking people like typical questions like, well, what happened? The question I put down to ask you was, do you still talk to Joe in the spiritual realm, and what is
Oh,
the
all the time, all the
right?
time, all the
But
time.
you kind of answered the question, but go ahead. But okay,
So, you know, there's not a day that goes by where she doesn't like enter into my space of thought, right? My wife being as stylish as she was, we owned a record store and vintage clothing and slash coffee shop called 720 Music Clothing and Cafe, right? And we had that together, and that was like her last thing that she did before she got sick and eventually transitioned. But um, because you know I didn't realize how much significance that place would have until after she was gone, right? So first and foremost, we own 720 Records, which and I don't know if you know what 720 means,
mhm,
but it's a symbol for infinity.
right.
Uh, but in terms of DJing, you got a turntable here, and you're mixing music over here, and it blends into the music over here, and it's just this constant flow. So
Mm,
that's why when Selective actually opened 720 Records, even before we became a part of it, um, that's what his thought process was when he came up with it, right? We just came in like, yo, we'll be a part of 720. We'll just add the clothing in the cafe if you want. I mean, it wasn't even if you want, because he had closed the business and asked us to be a part. Well, he asked me to be a part of it. And I was just like, well, if Joe, he was like, hell yeah, if Joe can be a part of it, that'd be great, right? And then Joe was like, if I do it, I want to do the vintage clothing. And I was like, cool, no problem. Let's do it. So we made that decision and we did it. And it just became a part of our lives. But what I didn't understand, that number and what it meant. So a
mhm.
lot of people, some people know, a lot of people don't know. She actually died on July 20th, which is 720.
No way.
Yeah, she transitioned July 20th.
Wow. Well, that was a very intentionally spiritual thing. Wow.
Right. So let's get deeper. Um, this house that we live in, um, I didn't find out until I was going through all the paperwork, probably a week or two after she passed away, like because I had to go through probate and all the things that in order to move the house completely into my name and things of that nature, right? Looking at looking at the paper where it says, our closing and all that, we closed on this house on July 20th, 2007. Never knew it. It's another
Numbers
720.
follow you, yo. People don't, I'm a numerologist.
They follow me, right? And
Numbers
then
follow
and
me.
then you know it gets even deeper. Like when we went to France, um, probably maybe like it was like 7 or 8 months after she had transitioned. I was like going on this whirlwind journey to try to like, get to his healing place, right? Which, at this point, I'm not even sure if those places thoroughly exist. Healing is a constant journey, it just never stops.
Yep.
Right. We go to France. I took Lauren, I took Cammie, I took my Aunt Gwen. And then we met some friends out there. It was 11 of us out there in Paris. It was amazing, right? But I was all like intimidated because I had watched too many movies. I had watched Taken. I'm like, yo, when we get there, you stay with me.
Right.
Everybody stay close. But I was looking at the flight manifest beforehand, and we had a straight flight direct from Newark to Charles de Gaulle out in Paris, right?
Oh, wow.
And the flight time was 7 hours and 20 minutes. And I was just like,
Wow.
all right,
Wow.
Joe's coming with us. All the energy of anxiety just went out the window, and we went out there, and I just was everybody be free, and it was amazing. It was amazing, man. So like that number, it constantly follows us around. Anytime I wake up in the morning, and the clock hits 7:20, I'll be like, hey Joe, we'll chop it up for a quick second. I'm usually downstairs doing some work or something, but like I see 7:20 twice a day. And I think about her probably more than that. And that energy is what helps, stabilize me and keep things going. So like she may not be here physically, but like she's all up in here, man. 100%.
And
All
she
up.
was just such an impactful person. Like
Mm-hmm.
she was just she she inspired me on a
Mm-hmm.
whole. I don't even think she knew on the level with which she inspired me. Like
Mm-hmm.
in terms of being a risk taker and being somebody who was just unafraid of going after. And I every time I'd bring something to her, an idea, she always told me, "Go do it."
Yeah.
Like go do it. And I would always be like, "But these people may not like it." And this, and me being young and impressionable at the time, I didn't even realize how much older than me she was
Mm-hmm.
because she was just so. It was like she had a peer level of. I felt like she was my peer, but I also knew that she was like more knowledgeable and
Mm-hmm.
just it was just very interesting because I'm not a person who my mom would always ask me when I was younger, she was like, well, who's your role models? And I'm like, I don't have any.
Mm-hmm.
But she was one of my role models. Like
I
she was one of
appreciate
those
that.
people that I would be like, yo, I want to be like her when I grow up. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that type of I don't stand for people like that
You
thing.
and I are kind of the same at this point, but yeah, I feel you. But I
Yes.
appreciate the fact that and I know that her energy is following you around too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It carries and protects all of us. Like a lot of times we pray to um the God and to the gods, but like I feel like at this point I have like access to the spirit realm. I got like an ancestor who's like right here.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? She's now an ancestor. So like I pray to her. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like she's an ancestor.
I
So
always say what I do is when I have a problem, I try to think about who is my closest ancestor that had a similar problem.
hmm
And then I talk to them and I just say, okay, I know you went through this. Like, what did you do? Send me a sign, show me something, even just give me a dream. I'm a person who dreams. And then, like, I dream when I'm in the midst of problems, I have a lot of dreams. And so I
mm
write the dreams down and then I talk about them with my ancestors, and that's how I come up with both my answers, with most of my answers. And Jovan is definitely one of those people that I take problems to. So I think, just her impact. And I knew you, and I
hmm
don't care what you say. To me, you had style. You always had style. Because
Thank
I
you.
would always be like, oh, he's a very stylish man. Uh, but at the time, I didn't know you were married to Jovan. So I was like,
hmm
oh, and then when I got to know her, I said, "Oh, it makes sense. It makes
hmm
a
That
lot
was
of
all
sense."
her. That was all her, man. It
Right?
was
It made a
taking
lot of sense. But so I
and
want to ask you, Nate, because most people will ask you, "What are you working on right now?" I want to ask you, to date, what has been the thing that you've been most proud that you've worked on? That's like your thing that and I'm just you, like for you, something that was just for you that you like, you hearken to that as like your thing that keeps you like, okay, I am a creative. I keep creating, and I know I have evidence that I'm a supreme creator because of this thing.
Um, my first and only house flip. I'm super proud of that. I'm gonna do it again too, but after I got sick, I had a stroke and a brain bleed
Mm.
in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and I was pretty much out of here. I coded on the table and everything,
Wow, Nate.
and was in a slight coma. Woke up out of it and had lost all of the control of my right side. Um, and that process to get back to that space, I was in a rehab for 6 weeks. Came home, physical therapy and whatnot, and it was just constant like moving and training and walking, and I had to learn everything all over again.
Right.
How to walk up and down steps correctly, how to speak in proper sentences because my grammar was all jumbled, and my speech was slurred, and how to how to do all these things, right? This is why I know the body is meant to heal, because I was able to get through all of that.
Oh.
um but hold up, what was the point? Because I know I was about to make a point. What
Oh,
was
we
the
were talking about what is like your like what is the thing that you did that was that gave you
Oh,
your
so
creative
the house, right?
house. Yes.
So I bought that property while I was still in the hospital, because I didn't at that point, I didn't think I was going to be able to come back and cut hair. I didn't think I was going to come and DJ. I was just like, all right.
Wait a minute. First of all, how in the world was you in the hospital buying property?
I had a little savings. I had saved up some money,
But I'm not even
and
thinking about from a financial perspective. I'm thinking about just from a health perspective.
I mean, I knew that I didn't know what I could do. I just knew that, okay, well, I guess this means I got to pivot. Like, I got to do something in order to make money for this family. So I'm going to take this
Mm,
money and I'm going to blow it on myself and see what happens, right?
right.
So, myself and I had a partner who decided he wanted to do it with me, which was amazingly advantageous, and I'm super grateful for him, because I don't think I could have did it by myself fiscally.
Mhm,
Um, but what I realized energy wise, that house, I mean, I hired contractors to do a lot of the work, right? But I did a lot of it myself.
mhm.
And I realized, like, carrying wood, paint buckets, things of that nature up and down the steps in that house to get it to the space from a total gut to
Oh,
a beautiful
wow.
place to sell. Like, I healed, like, I part of my healing was in that house, literally. Like, I literally learned how to balance and walk up and down steps again, just being in there, because I couldn't do it and I couldn't afford to pay so many people to do all of the things. I knew I was going to have to do some things myself. So that house became my physical therapy. And, I bought the house for 70,000 from, so it was actually my oldest daughter's mom's house. She had moved to Charlotte and she had been trying to sell it, and she was having problems, and I was just like, yo, I'll take it off your hands. She was like, just give me what I owe. We called PNC Bank, and we cashed out the whole entire thing, myself and my partner Anthony Monte, and we bought it and we started the process of, like, rehabbing, and it took about a year and a half to get done, but we finally did. And I put it on the market. We put maybe 60,000 into it. So we were at 150, 160 all in, and we sold it for 225. So we made some money on it, and it worked.
Mhm.
And it was such a proud moment for me, because it was
Right.
like an idea of just another thing that I can do. another thing that I feel good about, another thing that I put my hands on, like those window trim returns and all of that artistic, getting sand wall, drywall sanding and all that other stuff. Like I did that. Painting, I did that. Floor installation, I didn't do, but I oversaw it. So like it felt good. That's like one of the greatest things for me to date. But like everything else I'm super proud of too. Like, the movement of how I pivoted music wise, because like right now you don't see me a lot out at all on the scene doing stuff. But like, a partner of mine was like, yo, why don't you think about becoming a corporate DJ? And I was just like, okay, I'm not even sure how to do that. And he was just like, go on LinkedIn and find somebody that who
Yep.
works in the corporation and just send a post, send them an email and tell them, hey, if you ever guys need, a DJ for corporate events, just let me know. And it was just right after the pandemic was like kind of finishing up a little bit. So she hit me back literally 15 minutes later. And it was a friend of mine. Her name is Andrea. She works for BNY Mellon. And
Mhm.
she was just like, we're having a back to work event. We're trying to get everybody back into the offices after being remote for the past year. You know, we're hosting this event. Can you come and DJ? And it's going to be at like, you got to be there at 6 in the morning. I was like, sure. And they told me the amount of money, which to me at the time was amazing. I was just like, really? You're going to give me this for that? And I was like, all
Those
right,
corporate gigs.
corporate gig. So I did it. And now I am on my, I don't know, I have 4 events planned with them over the next 2 months,
Congratulations.
so, and that's just one. So,
Mhm.
BNY Mellon, Innovation Works, um, I just did one with Verizon. My biggest account is a friend of mine, Jason Council. He put this together. So I do corporate DJing for the clothing company Express.
Oh, wow.
Right. So I'm their corporate
They
DJ.
don't
So
make
I go to Columbus. They've had me in Madison Avenue in Manhattan. All this stuff. Just and
But
I
it's
think
not surprising though, quite honestly.
yeah, and I think I appreciate that. Thank you. And I think it's because I mean I'm a good DJ, no question. But there are better DJs, no question. But like I think more than anything, um, I'm really easy to work with, and I don't require a lot. Like people can call me and they know that okay, Nate's got it handled. I'm not going to worry about like whether he's going to be able to have sound or if there's going to be a table need, he's going to talk to the people to get all that stuff taken care of. So when he gets here, he can just plug and play, and I'm not going to have to worry about anything. And I think that's why. And I've made life easier for all the clients that I work with. Like, so they keep calling me back because they know it's just like, this is easy and they'll pay me accordingly.
Right.
And, I've done stuff with Gersh now, which is like one of the bigger agencies in Hollywood, who, uh, talent agencies. So
Mhm.
their biggest client right now is Dave Chappelle.
Mm.
So they'll have me come and do things with them as well. Work with Spike Lee, all the things, all the stuff through Gersh. And these are clients that I've gotten, after I got out of the hospital when I went and decided to go pivot. So like I'm staying super busy on the DJ side, but it's just you just don't see me.
Right. But that's the best kind of work though.
It is. It is.
That's the best
Like
kind. I got set hours.
yeah, I'll throw up like an occasional flex,
Mhm.
DJ flex because I don't promote what I'm doing because it's like kind of quiet. Like I did the Sundance Film Festival back in January in Utah. They flew me out, which was really great.
Wow,
Um,
man, that's
I
huge.
did an event for Coleman Domingo, which was really dope, and then he got nominated for the Academy Award for the next day, the very next morning after the
Wow.
party, which was really good. So to be in those rooms and be around those people, it's an amazing thing.
Right. I'm
and
sure
I'm blessed.
you are definitely blessed. But I think what you just now said that impacted me the most was about this house experience.
Let's talk about it.
Because I think that number one, I can relate to that because I remember when I moved back to Pittsburgh
Hmm.
and I ended up moving into a house next door to my dad.
Hmm.
And I don't know why when I walked in the house, I knew. I was like, and it wasn't my final house, but I knew that there was something about me that was tied to that house.
Correct.
And I always say that house, putting a garden in that house, decorating that house, just making it my own was how I
Mhm.
gained my femininity back. That
Got
I
it.
like was taken from me through some tumultuous relationships. And it
Right.
allowed me to be a better woman, a better wife, a better mother, so many different things.
Yeah.
I can really relate to when you say like the house was transformative, like it
Yeah.
transformed you, like bring it brought you back to life. And going back to what we talked about 720, a lot of times, so when I did the numbers, as I'm a numerologist, when I did the numbers on the house, that was what it told me. Like that house was for my revival. And
Mm,
so buildings hold energy.
yeah.
And just I just relate to that so much. It's just
Hmm.
people don't realize that where you are, the energy of where you are can hold space for healing.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I just when you were talking about that, I was getting all kinds of chills, and I was just I feel that I feel that deeply.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm one. That's one of the things for sure that I'm most proud of.
mhm,
And I don't have a lot of like, I don't walk around with pride as much anymore. Because I just feel like it doesn't hold so much purpose for me. But like, that's one thing that is kind of hard to let go. Like, I'm proud of that. I'm definitely proud of
mhm.
that.
And I
Hmm.
think that because it was something that you'd never done before, or it's almost kind of like very
Hmm.
opposite of what you do. It's like you
Yes.
prove something to yourself.
Right. Like, I've always considered myself handy.
Hmm.
Um, like I can fix pretty much anything. And like, and I probably there's a bunch of projects as I look around the house, like, "Ah, okay, I need to do this. But at the same time, like, I just don't have the opportunity to like explore it so much. So when I was in that house, like I did so much exploring and so much like tinkering and like figuring things out and going on YouTube and checking out videos and things of that nature. And I literally amazed myself with the knowledge that I was able to gain and retain
Right,
throughout that
right,
process, man. It was like it was like growing another brain, like literally. And I feel like my intelligence
mm,
or my intellect just expanded, by leaps and bounds just through that process.
right. And that is what it's like when you learn something new. It's like it's almost like you're connecting circuits that were never connected before.
Yep.
It's just and what I found because what my thing was gardening, and what I found was that I was able to make so many connections between
Hmm.
plants and my real life,
Yeah.
and it just helped me to have a whole completely different perspective of
Yeah,
certain situations.
that's the one thing that I really want to explore more. And I mean, so I grew up kind of gardening to a certain extent, right? In my younger years, my grandmother was from Texas, right? That whole family is from East Texas. So she grew up on the farm, and when she married my granddad, she brought that whole energy with her to Pittsburgh. So
Mhm.
the house that they purchased back in the late 60s was an area called New Homestead, and it's a city neighborhood, but it's like in the cut. It's very rural.
Mhm.
So we had a pretty big yard, and my grandmother had a huge, what I would consider a huge garden in the backyard, like, to the point where I learned how to use like a rototiller, that thing that you push.
Mhm. Mhm.
I learned how to use that at like 5.
Oh wow. Yeah,
So we were out there, gardening at a very young age here in Pittsburgh. Um, and we grew everything. Like, we did not purchase, we didn't buy produce. We
Mhm.
bought meat, but we did not buy produce. My grandmother was so innovative. Like, she's the first person I knew who had like the shrink wrap technology. Like,
Mhm.
she had that like when I was like 6. And she used to take
Oh,
this
wow.
vacuum cleaner and like this little vacuum, and it would shrink down the plastic. But she would like grow kale, and we would have kale in like collars like by the stacks. And she would put them in the plastic bag, and she would shrink it down, put it in the freezer. And we'd have like so much produce. And we grew everything back there, from beans to carrots to watermelons to potatoes to corn. I mean, she had everything back there. Cantaloupes. Um, I can't. We had a grapevine back there. We had a cherry tree. We had a strawberry vine. Everything was all back there. So we didn't, we literally didn't buy fruit or produce hardly. Apple. We had 2 apple trees back there. It was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. But
Right.
like,
It's
that.
amazing what folks used to do back then with gardens because they
Yep.
used. My grandmother grew watermelon. She just grew everything.
Yep. Yep. But that being a producer, it's been tossed into me for
Hmm.
sure. Like, I'm a producer. I'm not so much of a consumer as I am a producer, right?
Mm.
I like to produce. It's not even about like the money. It's about like the energy behind production,
Yes.
and like being able to have a product and finish that product and like present the product to the world. That's why I cut hair, right? I like when people come in just all broke down and disheveled, and they leave looking like, amazing and feeling amazing. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
same
that's
thing with DJing.
right. It's a driving force. Definitely creativity sometimes can just be most times is that's the driving force. People don't realize that people always say, well, if you stop paying people, people will stop working. No, they won't. People like to
People
create.
are going.
People like to create. Just that's why you got broke entrepreneurs that just keep
Yeah.
starting new businesses. It's
Yep.
really about the creation process for them. It's
Hmm.
not so much about the money. They
Right.
just want to create and want to produce something. I
This
used
is
to think something was wrong with me because I'd be like, well, why are you doing this? I'm like, because I just want to make something.
right. Right.
Just want to
Like,
make
it never stops. Like, we
something.
always want to continue to build and figure things out. Um, you'll take a person will take a piece of fabric or a piece of clothing and unstitch every corner of it just so they can lay it out and see how it looks and try to reduplicate the same thing with a
Mhm.
different material or a different, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
all about like production and how to build,
Yep.
right? And like, we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? A lot of us do, but we don't have to. Like, it's sitting
Mhm.
there. The blueprint is right there. It's kind of in our DNA. Just do it. Just produce and build and make. You know, we don't need anybody's help, really. We
No,
don't.
we don't. We don't. Nate, this has been an absolutely wonderful conversation. And let me just say thank you for your realness. Like you
Thank you.
are so you.
Thank
You
you.
can't get you away from being you. And that's what
Mm,
I appreciate.
I
I
appreciate
appreciate
that.
that you're just you and you show up just you no matter where you're at. And so thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your words. And thank you for sharing with us in such a raw and organic way. I appreciate it.
And thank you for having me on and giving me the opportunity to, share my story or
Mhm.
part of it. You
I know
know,
we gotta find a way to get because people keep asking me because I do the brown mama monologues and they're like, we need this for men, and I'm like, we do because black men are the people we don't get to hear from. At least I'm a firm believer in that. Like I feel like we get to hear from black men when it comes to like um work stuff, like
yeah.
stuff they're doing, but I don't feel like we get to hear from the emotions of black men. I don't feel like we get to hear from the spiritual lives of black men. We
Like,
get to hear about what black men make. We don't get to hear about what they are, who they are.
this is true. Like, I was watching a podcast with Kia yesterday, and it had these women who, were talking about, their past and how they may have been like traumatized in some way, whether it be, by their parents, or maybe they dealt with sexual trauma or anything, right? And I was just like, it would be super dope to have like this type of energy for men, Um, but society continues to like perpetuate this image of like toxicity,
Mm-hmm.
and like a lot of those types of things that do come out get judged, and they get canceled because like they're not manly enough, or they're not this
Mm-hmm.
enough. And I'm so far away from that, that
Right.
you know I'm definitely, like, I feel like not only am I in touch with, like, what the divine feminine energy that's a part of me, but like I honestly think y'all should run the world. I
Mm-hmm.
really do. Right?
But you know what? The
Put
interesting thing
put
is
me
that
to work.
most men who say that, that's what they say. They
Mm,
say, because my mom used to always say this. She was like, men do not run households. They don't even
no,
want to.
no, I don't want no parts of that.
No,
It's,
most
it's
men do not. They just want you to go do what you do, and they
right.
want you to leave them alone.
Yo, I'm telling you, I don't think that, I'm out here, doing things that I never thought that I would do again,
Mhm.
because of the women in my life. My women have always been who've inspired me to move in the direction that I'm moving in. Even now, like, you know, I'm budgeting now, right? I have never been on a budget in
Mhm.
my entire life, and it's only been for the last month. And like it's kind of shifted my existence. I see what's coming in, I see what's going out,
Right.
and that's all because, Kia was like, yo, we should, figure this out and try to get on this software. So we kept it simple and went to Google Sheets and did a budget, and it's almost like a regular spreadsheet, and it just put put the numbers in it, and it gives you back the information in a day,
Right.
and you start to see what you're doing. And I don't think that I would have did that without you guys. I know
Mhm.
I wouldn't have did that without
Mhm.
you.
Right.
So
But
like
that's
I have no interest in like, running things. Like I know that, my wife is transitioned and she's not here, but like, yo, I still refer to her like, and let her, run the show, and I let Kia run the show, and I let Lauren run the show, and I let Cammy run the show. Those are my four, right? I'm just kind of like here cruising along with the squad, man.
and I can say that every black man that I've encountered that is honorable,
Hmm.
that's the way they operate. They
Hmm.
always keep a group of women around them, and not sexually,
Nah.
just women who help them
Yep.
level set.
Yep.
I do feel like, and I don't know if this is circumstantial or we supposed to be ending the conversation. I don't know if it's circumstantial or if it's natural,
Hmm.
but whatever it is, it feels good.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's what I'll say. It feels
Agreed.
good.
Hmm.
And that's the reason I've stayed married to my husband, is
Hmm.
because he really allows me so much space to operate as the woman that I am. And he
Shout
doesn't,
out to Michael, man.
yeah, he's a good
Shout out
dude.
to Michael, man.
Michael, you want to say something? Don't.
What's up?
He
What's
said,
up, Mike?
My appearance on the show earlier.
yeah, he made an appearance. So he ain't had no shirt on. He was just walking around with his drawers on. He ain't even know that Mira was back here.
Why you put him on blast like that, man?
That's why I said, we listen. I said we just us. We ain't
Hmm.
trying to hide nothing.
Yep.
we
Yep.
just us. But yeah, that's
Yep.
why I've stayed married to him, and I think that's why he stayed married to me, is
Yeah.
just being okay with just having that you're good at what you're good at. You could be there. Let me be
Mhm.
good at what I'm good at. Like, we
Correct.
ain't trying to create no gender roles over here. We not trying to recreate no toxic masculinity or toxic femininity.
Yep.
We're just trying to be what did Jay Shetty said? We're just trying to be each other's gurus. Like, you be
Oh,
my
okay.
guru, I'll
Hmm.
be your guru.
Yep.
And the only way we can do that is by making ourselves better, for real, for real. So it's
Amen.
not really, you ain't trying to focus on making that person better, because you can't. Shoot, I say we probably figured that out after about 11, 12 years of marriage. Like, I can't make
Mhm.
you better. You can't
Right.
make me better. It's not even possible. Now
Right.
you can decide you want to be better, and then I can support you in whatever that looks like.
Right.
It can't exist. I cannot be the driving factor for his change, and vice versa.
That's
You
right.
have to
No, that's
decide
real.
internally.
That's real. It's all on us.
Mm-hmm.
All on us as individuals, man. Exactly it. But to have good people around you ain't gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nate. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. And I'll definitely share the video with you so you can hear yourself talk and hear me talk.
Okay. Cool,
But I
cool, cool.
appreciate you, bro. Have a good one.
You too. Peace and blessings.
Peace.
Yep.
Y'all, that was a wonderful conversation. I hope I get to have more conversations like that on here. Uh, I think the thing that sat with me the most from that conversation was one, Nate talking about having his wife's presence. Because that's something that I do think about, not often, but because I've been married to my husband for so long, I do think about if he's not present and I'm still physically present, how am I going to keep contact with him? And I talk to the ancestors all the time, but I think it is hard to think about somebody that is physically present. Well, hearkening back to when I lost my dad at a young age and did not have the spiritual leanings to understand that he was still present. I did not realize that I could still talk to him and that I could still be in his presence. And so it is something that I think about now that I have that, is like, I wonder how he'll talk to me. So that sat with me. But then that whole part, let me tell y'all something. If you are in a space right now where you do not know up from down, and you know it's time for you to heal yourself, and you know it's time for you to put in some work in order to be a better version of yourself, timing and space matters. And just know that whatever it is that you call home, you can utilize that space in order to heal yourself. So a house, wherever it is not a home until you make it one. You don't need to go to Home Goods. You don't need to go to IKEA or whatever furniture store you frequent. You don't need more people or a man or a husband or a partner or even kids. You don't need a new color palette or carpet or feng shui, because having a place full of stuff and random people is not going to make you want to be in your home, heal in your home, make your home your safe space, your sanctuary for your soul. A home is made up of memories. A home is made up of nourishment, hot cups of tea, talks that seem to never end, the presence of something greater than yourself. A home is made up of people who find solace and soul in the presence of other people, who share experiences and way more than couches and beds, who have crafted common perspectives but have different lives. And no, it's not easy to create a home. It's usually the product of arguments, random trips to discount stores and flea markets, and exhausted journeys that end in a common place. You can always tell a sister who hasn't made a house or a home because she's always outside of it. But you can create a home, because you can't create a home if you keep running away from it. She's always running away from the version of herself that awaits in the quietness of the four walls of her home. Four walls of nothing but white walls. Four walls to remind you of half-hearted attempts and projects and people unfinished. Four walls to wail in. We've all been there, but you do not have to stay there. Go home. Cook a meal. Paint a wall. Invite someone dear to be near. Who cares what the outcome is? The wall might be ugly, but it's yours. The food might be nasty, but you made it. And you might not even like him later, but it's now your memory to sort out in your home that you made. Go home, sis. Go home, bro. Go home. Make your house a place where you and everybody else knows your heart is. That's what I got for y'all today. If you didn't get a chance to hear that conversation between me and Nate, you absolutely need to go back and listen again. I think that I want to have more men on this show. I want to talk to more men about their lives and their experiences and their emotions and their spirituality, because we don't get to hear from Black men nearly as much as we should. So if you got a brother that you know wants to come on Mondays with Muffy and have a conversation with me that goes deep, because that is our Into the Deep section. I keep forgetting to preface that is our Into the Deep session. Then please get at me. Have a great week, y'all. Enjoy. Make your house a home if you haven't already. Go home. Spend some time in your home. Love on yourself in your home. Invite some other people to be in your home with you. And have a great week. See you next Monday on Mondays with Muffy. Peace.